Morning folks, how are we all doing? We'll let everybody get settled for a few minutes and get ourselves squared away in Inverness here as well. So take a couple of minutes just to get yourself sorted out, and then I'll come back to you and we'll see who else is connected as well. Right, I'll just do a quick check of who we've got out in VC land there. Who have we got in Campbelltown?
Jennifer and Avril.
Jennifer and Avril, smashing, thank you. Jennifer and Avril. We've got Janine there as well. Cynthia's coming in from North Island. How are you doing, Cynthia?
Yeah, just from around this time.
Sorry, we can't quite make you out there.
Oh, sorry. I actually have lost my voice last year.
All right. Where are we? Cynthia. Who else is there? We've got somebody, is it Lamlash Centre? Who have we got there?
Yeah, Jennifer and Caris.
All right. Oh, is that Aaron?
Yeah.
Grant and John's in as well. Super. Okay. Who have we got in Orkney there?
We've got Miranda, Nares, Inga, and Kieran.
There's Inga, Miranda, Kieran. Superb. I'm not going to do a head count here because there's far too many of you to go around everybody, because that's just going to be a nightmare. If you can make sure that you've signed into the register that's getting passed around, though, just so that I can take a head count and I know who's who. So how are we all getting on with the materials and the audio lectures and all the bits and pieces that are there for you in order for you to study? Yeah? Is it enough for you to get through in a week? Do you need more? Do you need less?
Struggling to get through it.
Struggling to get through what's there. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, but the idea is that in a spiral curriculum, you know, you need to do some learning yourself so that it actually sticks. And then we use these sessions just to reinforce that, and that further helps it stick. And the idea is then that when we get to the end of this and you're sat in the final exam, then, you know, you can just pull on that information, and it is going to help you. So it is well worth going through as much as you possibly can in a week. I recognize that life is life. You know, things crop up. You know, you've got jobs, families, and all the other guff that goes on in life. But try and get through as much as you can. You might not be able to get everything done in a week, but at least have a listen to the audio lecture. At least try some of the other stuff that's there. Yeah, it definitely helps. The reading helps as well. For some people hate it. Some people will take all of the information they need from an audio lecture. Some people will have to do exercises. Some people don't enjoy doing the exercises. Take what is going to be useful for you and apply that. Yeah? It's too big a group for me to assess all of your learning needs as individuals. It's just not possible for us to manage. So you know what works best for you. You know what's going to stick. So you should do by this point, hopefully. So use what you've got and get yourself stuck into the materials, because it will help you in the long term. Definitely will. So, elasticity this week. Who pickled their head with that?
Pickled my head.
Pickled your head?
Yes.
Yes? Anybody else pickled their head with elasticity, or was it an absolute breeze?
It was okay understanding it, but it was when we started doing the calculations. It was a bit.
For some reason, elasticity, you will either not understand the theory but be able to do the calculations, or you won't understand you'll be able to do the calculations but not understand the theory. Elasticity is just a weird one like that. A weird one. So basically what we're talking about... Come on in. Yeah, that's all right, man. Come on in. Grab a seat wherever you can. So what we're talking about in terms of this week is the measure of responsiveness of the quantity demanded to a price change. So when we're talking about price elasticity, it's how demand for a product changes based on price. So it's a units-free measurement of the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a good. Okay, that was a little bit random. Why did that happen? Did anybody else see that on that slide? Something did pop up there and like run along the slide, didn't it?
Yeah, there was like a red dot moving along.
Yeah. I'm a bit weirded out by that. So, when all of the other influences, when everything else is set par, when everything else remains the same, then all of the influences on our buyer's plans are exactly the same, and there is a price change. How does that affect demand? That's what we're looking at. So, you've all bought goods, right? You've all purchased things. You've all seen this on a day-to-day basis. What's a really desirable and fashionable item right now that's expensive? I don't know, because I'm so out of touch with life at the moment, it's beyond belief.
The iPhone?
New iPhone.
Yeah, an iPhone.
Yeah.
More expensive.
iPhone's really expensive. If they brought down the price of those, what's going to happen to demand? It's going to skyrocket. So, if our demand is, okay, this is on a timer for some reason, that's going to be fun for today. So if our demand's relatively unresponsive to price changes, it is inelastic. Okay? So if the price changes and the level of demand for that product doesn't change, is this because it's on a slideshow? Yes, it is. And has animations. Lovely. Then yeah, it's inelastic. So if the price of milk suddenly drops, are you going to go out and stock up on milk? No. Because it's not desirable. It's not something that is going to be affected by that change. So that would be an inelastic product. Change in the level of price is not going to affect the demand dramatically. If we've got something that is very responsive to price changes, then it is said to be elastic. So a change in price will have a greater effect on demand. If they drop the price of Mercedes SLKs overnight, everybody would be driving them. Everybody. Price or the level of demand is very responsive to any change in price for that kind of product. So that's an elastic product. So the basic calculation that we use, okay, is relatively straightforward when you actually break it down. So our price elasticity of demand, or elasticity of price, is equal to the percentage change in demand divided by the percentage change in price. So our elasticity, price elasticity, is elasticity of demand in responses to changes in price. When we're talking about elasticity, you need to remember what factor it is that we're talking about. So we will talk about price elasticity of demand. We will talk about price elasticity of supply and price elasticity of income. So make sure you read the question. Don't just go elasticity and do a price elasticity of demand calculation. Okay? Make sure you read the question. So we get 3 numerical answers out of that calculation. So when our percentage change in demand, I can never remember if this is greater than or less than. Greater than, isn't it? Yeah. If it's greater than change in price, then our price elasticity would generally be greater than 1. If it's less, then we're looking at less than 1, then our demand is inelastic. So at greater than 1, you're elastic. At less than 1, you are inelastic. And if we sit exactly on 1, then you have absolute balance in the level of elasticity. So we call that unit elasticity. The chances of that happening are minuscule.
I was going to ask that, so like, is it will always be straight across the board? There's not even a little bit that's just, like, what examples would there be of that?
Of unit elasticity, I genuinely cannot think of any off the top of my head. It is that rare. So basically what you're saying is that the sale of another unit is going to change the level of demand. So a 1% change in price is going to change demand for that product by 1%. I genuinely cannot think of any examples. Essentially what that is a baseline for the theory, realistically. Okay? If you ever come across, like even in 20 years' time, if you come across something that you calculate and find that it has unit elasticity, like phone me. Send me that example, because I've been looking for one for years now. Years. So this is us measuring the degree to which demand responds to a change in price. Okay? So the calculation itself isn't too bad. You're generally going to be told what the level of demand is and what the level of price is on a table, the same as you had for supply and demand. So you're going to be able to work out percentage changes in those factors. Our elasticity of supply, very much the same. But we're talking about the responsiveness of the amount supplied in relation to changes in the price. So all we're changing there is one section of the calculation. Percentage change in supply divided by our percentage change in price. So again, pretty straightforward. Our income elasticity of demand is much the same. Percentage change in demand divided by our percentage change in income. So we're just changing, the inputs. So it's demand and price, supply and price, demand and income. Yeah?
I have a question with how elasticity of demand and supply is. Last week, you said that the demand curves and supply curves will always be like kind of guesswork or based on past figures or kind of maybe competition and how well they're doing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But how would you really know, or how do you, it's quite risky, is it not, to just go and increase supply in the hope that guesstimate figures are going to be the same in like 5-10 years' time? The likes of when Macallan in my direction was massively increased and turned around their distillation outputs, so that in 10 years' time I would imagine they'll have hundreds of thousands more casks than they do today, so their supply will hugely grow.
Yeah.
How can we know that that's not a massive risk?
Oh, it is a massive risk. Whenever we're calculating supply and demand, we are basing this on guesstimate figures. It is a best guess. It is a best guess. There are a number of different methods that economists can use to try and tie this down a little bit further and make it a little bit more accurate. But at the end of the day, the decision that Macallan are taking are basically their economic projections for that organization is they're looking at their level of sales now in the Chinese market versus what the population of China is going to be in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
Pure guesstimate.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other factors that you have to consider. It's very, very difficult. Very difficult. But they're lucky because you can always store whiskey and its price will always end up coming up at some point or other. But it is guesstimate work, basically. So when you're doing supply and demand and setting out those tables and then working out what the elasticity level is, so if you're doing price elasticity of demand, that's determining how much you can mess about with your prices in a business. So that is very, very risky. Very, very risky. How do you nail that down a little bit more? You nail that down with some incredibly complex spreadsheets and equations that you are never going to need to look at in reality. What I'm trying to get into you in terms of knowledge for business, knowledge that you can apply in business, is knowing that there are effects on supply and demand. Knowing that certain products are going to be more responsive to changes in price. Knowing that certain products are going to be more responsive to changes in income. Because you can then take that, look at the organization you're in, and apply that. And that's going to help you out massively in your business decision making. Hugely. You may well get to the point where you're in a massive company and they ask you to do huge economic exercises and gather an absolute boatload of information in. But it's still all guesstimate work. It's kind of scary when you think about it, because our entire world economy and society hinges on the fact that we've got accurate economic information. And actually we don't. It's really quite scary. So, are we kind of happy with the theory? Yeah? You're not really convincing me with that nod of the head there, Lucy. I'm not just singling you out because there's a lot of people that are doing exactly the same thing. Your head is nodding, but your eyes are going, oh God. Right? Elasticity takes a bit of time to sink in for some people. It just does. The first time I sat in a lecture theatre like this at UHI getting elasticity thrown at me, I had no clue what I was doing. None. I don't think that sunk in for me with elasticity until like 2 weeks before the exam. But keep practicing the exercises that you're being given. Okay? I'll be getting revision stuff up in the next few weeks. Keep practicing all of that. It helps. Definitely helps. You are likely to have a calculation around elasticity in the exam. Likely to have it. So make sure you've got the formula down pat. You know what it is that you're actually doing. You're going to be good to go. Okay? So, quick discussion then in your groups. So again, Orkney, Campbelltown. In fact, no, Orkney. Yeah, we'll leave Campbelltown and everybody else in BC line connected. Orkney, you've got about 4 or 5 of you there, have you not?
Yeah, 4 of us.
Yeah, if you're happy working together in a group, if you can just switch your mic off and your volume down so that everybody else in VC land can have a chat and you don't get disturbed by them. I'll give you a wave when we're coming back. Break up into whatever groups are convenient for you to discuss in Inverness here, because God forbid you should get up and move about your room in the morning. And I want you to think about, in your area, whether or not the price elasticity for a Pizza Hut pizza is elastic or inelastic. And whether you have Pizza Hut in your area or not is irrelevant. Okay? Is it price elastic or inelastic? All right? Have a quick chat about that for a few minutes.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Who's that for? That Aaron?
No, it's camera time. Just everybody. Because the tutors shared your screen, we obviously can't like use all tiny little squares at the top.
No, that's the same as us.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, I can see the tiny squares now. So what do you think? It's elastic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely price will affect demand.
Yeah.
That's why they do so many promotions, isn't it?
Yeah.
How are you all
vouchers.
How are you all feeling about elasticity?
We were just talking about that there, like, because we covered it last year, we're thinking it's not so bad. But see, if this was the first time we were looking at it, we would be panicking so much.
Yeah, we said that last week as well. Like, if this wasn't familiar.
We did it
last year as well through the HNC, and to be honest, it was nothing like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
It's not so much this formula, it's when you go further into it, when it's the 2 fractions, when you're working out the supply and demand at the same time.
Well, I've not done that.
Neither have I. It's not that far ahead.
No.
When the formula is like horrendous, it's like.
Oh no, you're not selling it well.
No, she's not.
We'll just throw in the towel now.
But you'll get used to Avril. Avril's this huge big panic heart and everything else, and then she's the one that wants the A star at the end of it.
Not this time, not with this. This is too hard.
But all I can say is thank God there's no graded units this year, because I've got no hope, because I don't even
Is there
understand.
not?
I don't
It's
know.
all graded.
It's not a huge big graded unit that we did last year that you did the whole thing for 3 hours. We've not got one of them that gives you an A, B, or a C. Well, I don't think so anyway. It's not in this semester. I better not, because I'm dished.
Management then.
Samson.
I think it's just per each module might either have an exam or written, like case coursework.
Like see, like what part of the HNC was for us last year was the fact that we had a huge big graded unit and it was like it touched on every single subject that we had done over the whole year.
Yeah, we
and
did
it gave
that.
you and you get like an A, B, and a C.
We're ready to come back in VC land?
Yeah.
More time?
Not ready.
He's not turned his volume up.
Do you need a bit more time, folks, or are you quite happy?
No, we're good.
Good? Orkney, you guys happy? You've forgotten how to switch your mic on, haven't you?
We are.
Alright, cool.
Right, sorry, we was on silent as well, so we didn't know what you were saying.
Ah, right. Yeah, I do that as well. I start talking and I forget that the volume's down and can't do anything. Yeah. It's terrible. So, we've got a range of places then, a range of areas that have got different effects around this question. Okay? This should be relatively interesting. So we'll start with Inverness here. Alright? So is everybody here from Inverness? Or you stay outside of? We've got a few folks stay outside of Inverness. Yeah? Okay. So if we think of Inverness, somebody that lives within Inverness then, is the price elasticity for a Pizza Hut pizza elastic or inelastic?
Elastic.
Elastic. Why do you say elastic, sir?
Because if you change the price, it changes demand.
If you change the price, it's going to change demand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's not a Pizza Hut isn't like a necessity.
I don't know. For some people, that is a necessity. Speak to my wife, man. She loves a pizza.
Also, there's a lot of other substitutes. So
That's the other issue. There's a lot of substitutes. Okay, people can go into an Italian restaurant and sit down for a pizza. They can order from any other pizza delivery service. God, most of the kebab shops in town do pizza. Everybody does pizza because it's nice and easy. So, is that then going to mean that it's going to be responsive to a change in price or unresponsive to a change in price, the level of demand, given that there's so many substitutes? Probably going to be quite responsive. Yeah? So, somebody from VC land who does not have the joy of Pizza Hut, who are horrible. Someone in VC land then want to give me their opinion for their area. Is that going to be elastic or inelastic?
Well, sorry.
There you go.
Hello, that's all right. Fire on, fire on.
We thought elastic because the price will affect demand. If there's offers on or like money off vouchers, then more people are going to want to buy, so the demand is going to increase.
In theory, yeah. But if a Pizza Hut opened on the Isle of Arran and they charged 20 times what anybody else would charge, would people still buy it?
Sounds like the co-op.
Exactly. So, are we now talking about something that's responsive or unresponsive to price? Theoretically, your level of demand, if you introduce something to a new area where it's not been before, your level of demand is going to be high regardless of the price that you charge. So therefore, we're talking about something that is going to be inelastic and not responsive to a change in price. The demand is just going to be high. Does that make sense? You're shaking your head, which means no, that doesn't make sense.
Well, no, it does make sense, but then surely that's only like in the short term.
Oh yeah, we're talking short term, theoretically, that would be the case. You still look confused.
Yeah.
So you are right in what you say, that normally we'd be talking about a product here relatively elastic. It would be relatively responsive to changes in price, demand, because of the level of substitutes, would be determined by how much you're charging. But in theory, you take a brand new product, you plonk that down somewhere it's never been before, people will just pay for it. The level of the
competition.
because there's no competition. The level of demand is just going to be high. Okay?
It's monopoly. It's because it's monopoly.
Yeah, monopoly. Yeah. They've got a monopoly, they've got control of that market. The market is very, very small. If you imagine, so how big is Arran? How many people do live on Arran? I don't know a huge amount about Arran at all.
Couple of thousand.
Aye. It's a bit between 2,000 and 3,000, I reckon.
2,000
I
and
think
3,000?
that swells to about 10,000 in the
Yeah,
summer.
it goes crazy in the summer though, yeah. The joy of tourists. We get the same in Inverness and the Highlands, like it's just a delight.
I look forward to February.
Oh yeah. How many pubs are there on Arran?
Oh,
Quite a lot.
Yeah. Quite a few. You imagine if you were the first pub to open on Arran. How elastic or inelastic would the prices of your alcohol be?
Inelastic because of all the other substitutes.
No, you'd probably be saying inelastic because it's not going to be responsive to a change in price. People are still going to have that level of demand if you were the only pub in that place. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're not convincing me with that. So, you've got to look at more consideration. You've got to look at what the market is going to do as well. So it's not as simple as just calculating things, okay? You've got to look at what other substitutes are out there. So, let's get you doing a quick exercise then. So I would like you, for this local producer, you would think that I'm completely obsessed with pizza, right? I don't eat pizza that often, okay? Although it may look like I eat pizza a lot, I don't eat pizza that often. So this local company produces 3 different types of pizza. They have completed some research. They've done their guesstimate work to discover demand curve for each of these pizzas. So the schedule is shown below, and the quantities that are shown are per week. So I would like you to plot the 3 demand curves on a graph, and then calculate the price elasticity of demand for all 3 pizzas if the price was to change from £9 to £10. And then for pizza C, what price must be charged if the firm wishes to maximise its sales revenue? So a quick 3 demand curves. Okay? A price elasticity of demand calculation. And then determine what the max sales revenue is going to be. I should probably go and get a coffee because that's going to keep you happy for like half an hour at least. Can you folks in VC land see that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you folks at the back of the room see that okay? You're squinting there. Can anybody at the front of the room not see that? So if we remember with our curves, when we're plotting our graphs, we should have 2 axes one vertical axis with price, one horizontal axis down the bottom with our quantity. We need to plot out what's on the chart, but we also need to tell people what the axes are and what the title of that chart is as well. Okay? Just saying to the folks here in Inverness, if you are getting stuck on anything, just keep pushing through as many of the questions as you can, or as much of each of the questions as you can, and then we are going to go through this step by step for you to break it down. Okay? So you'll be able to see where you've gone wrong, or what challenge you've come across, and hopefully I'll be able to explain that in a different way. Okay? So we'll give it a wee bit more time, let everybody get cracking with it, and then say 5 minutes, we'll come back. How we getting on in VC land, folks? Do you need a bit more time, or are you quite happy? Well, I mean, I know you're not happy having to calculate this stuff, but
I've only just done the first bit, the demand curves in the graph. I've not done PED yet.
Okay, that's fine. We can take another 5 minutes and let you crack on with that. Yeah. How's everyone else getting on in VC land? Anything you're getting stuck on? All right, we'll give a bit more time and then we'll get cracking. Okay. Has everybody done the demand curves?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you want to have a look at the demand curves just now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Should the lines always be straight on a demand curve, or can you do them jagged?
Oh no, they can plot out wherever they want. When we're talking about it in a theoretical sense, you'll have noticed last week, like there was no curve in the curve. They were all straight lines. But when, the reality of a demand supply curve, any of those curves, is that they can plot out however you want. So they can be jaggy, they can be straight, they can be all.
I have done it right.
Have you? Oh, have you?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Because I find that a couple of mine are kind of straight-ish, and the other one's like a pure jaggy line.
Okay.
Mine's
That's
the
not
same
what you've
as,
done.
that's mine's the same as that one.
Nah, mine just dished in. Mine just snookered.
So that's what you should have outlined. Okay?
Mine just never that.
So the price should have been down the left-hand side on a vertical axis, your quantity demanded plotted out on the horizontal axis at the bottom, and then all you're doing is transferring the information that you've got on that chart into the curves. Okay? So can everybody see, if they haven't got an example like that, can people see where they went wrong? Almost like that. That's close to that. The scales might change. You might have used a different scale for price. You might have used a different scale for the quantity demanded. So it may have plotted out slightly differently. Slightly different. But for the most part, you should have relatively similar curves to that. Yep. Right. I'll pop back to the figures then. And let you do the price elasticity of demand calculations. I got one. Nice. So for the second question, we're talking about the price elasticity of demand for those pizzas if the price was to change from £9 to £10. So that's the set of figures that you're going to need to look at. So for that calculation, you're going to need to work out your percentage change in price and your percentage change in demand for the three pizzas. Is everybody happy with calculating a percentage change? If you're not, let me know. Or Google it.
excuse me, we can't hear you.
Sorry, still had my mic off. Thank you for letting me know. Good. It's alright. It's better than my class on Monday morning who let me rant for like half an hour about, I can't even remember what we were talking about. And then eventually somebody went, yeah, we can't actually hear you. So our price elasticity of demand, you're needing to figure out the quantity, the percentage change in the level of demand. Okay? You are needing to figure out the percentage change in the price. So our percentage changes are what we've got. That's not going to work at all. Let me use the pen instead. Or what we're going to have. And that's not going to do that. Delightful. So these are our percentage changes. Okay? Yeah.
Usually we.
Because we used to do this calcul, but in the other side, like 880 less 921 on 921, like the opposite, you know?
Right.
And at the end it's the same result, but in negative, like
yeah, but it's always negative. We just not do that.
Is that right too? Or?
Yeah, that can be right too. Yeah. Basically, the way that we would normally calculate out our percentage change is you're looking at what is the difference between those two figures. Okay, so we would normally look at the difference between the two figures, take away the new number from our original number, divide that increase by the original number that you had, and then multiply that by 100. And that gives you your normal or your percentage change. Yeah? So can you see where you've got your numbers from? Did you come out with the same?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We have the same result, but because we didn't put the number in the same place, it's the same result, but negative at the end.
Right. So you would just take the negative away.
You do normally it's negative, it just we don't do the negative.
Yeah.
Because 9 more 10.
Yeah. So all you would have to do in order to figure out is take away the negative.
Yeah, exactly, because it's otherwise.
Yeah. So that's easy, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So our price elasticity of demand for that first one is inelastic. Can I take off the? Sorry? I don't think I actually can. Because for some reason it's not rubbing out now. Oh, there we go. No, it is now. But that bit's not. That's wonderful. I'm afraid that is the best I can make it. For some reason it's not clearing it. I don't know why. So does anybody want to tell me, pizza B, was it inelastic or elastic? Elastic. Why do you say elastic? What figure did you come out with at the end to determine that?
I got 4.54.
4.54? 4.5? Depending on how you rounded it. Yeah? So, we're looking at the difference between 800 units of demand, 400 units of demand. The price is still going to be the same. So, our percentage changes were 50 and 11.11, and that gave us 4.5. So that gives us an elastic level of demand in regards to price. Pizza C. Well, you've already answered. You can't give an answer. Let's have somebody from VC land then. Pizza C, was it elastic or inelastic?
Well, it's elastic now.
Elastic? What was the figure you came out with there, John, to determine that it was elastic?
2.25.
2.25. So yeah, percentage change in demand was 25. Percentage change in price is exactly the same as all the others, 11.11. And that gives us, when it's divided, 2.25 to determine that that product is elastic. How much did that ruin everybody's head at this time in the morning? Take the time to practice this when you're a bit more awake, when you're a bit more alert. The human body just does not wake up for numbers until like after 10 o'clock. Fact. Okay? So do the examples that are in the book, do the examples that are in week-by-week questions. Do as much practice of these kind of calculations as you possibly can. Okay? Did anybody get onto the revenue? Yeah? No? Yeah? No? Yeah? What price has to be charged if the company wishes to maximize its sales revenue for Pizza C? £6? £6. Why £6?
I don't know if there's a clever way of doing it, but I just calculated all the prices of pizza against the pizzas sold, and I think £6 might be worth.
Yeah. All you're looking at in order to create total revenue, you are timesing the level of demand versus the price. People demand 750 units of that item, times that by the price that you're going to sell it at, gives you your total revenue. Basic problem solving. Okay? Real basic problem solving. So, let's let you have a quick chat then. So games consoles quite often come bundled with games, sometimes they're bundled without games. I would like you to use your understanding about elasticity and tell me when is it good to bundle with games and when is it good not to bundle with games. So bear in mind we are still talking about price elasticity here. Okay?
Is this like we're selling an Xbox or we're buying?
This would be you selling. When would it be good for you to sell a bundle? Yeah?
You didn't even make new slides.
No, I didn't make new slides. Why would I make new slides? That's far too much like hard work. So if you can do the same again, Orkney, just drop your volume so you're not disturbed by VC land. I'll do the same here. And then just a couple of minutes, and then we'll get everybody back.
Hello.
Hi, help me.
Hi.
Hello. Save
Would it be when the demand's higher because then there's more competition for your product to try and make people choose your one over others?
That's
Yeah,
why
but
we do it about Christmas.
Well, it usually is about Christmas, isn't it? You see it with a lot of bundle, a lot of things.
Yeah.
So when they know there's going to be a demand increase.
Because they don't want to put the price of their console down too much, because then they're going to lose out. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along.
No, that's.
I know. I'm just feeling totally shell shocked after the last bit.
I just got to the point I just gave up.
Yeah, I didn't get anywhere near the end.
No, I didn't even
Too slow.
understand that.
Right, we'll get everybody back in the room just now then. Orkney, if you can dive back in as well, just give me a shout to say when you're in. Can you hear me all right, Orkney? Or are you still on silent?
Yeah. We're okay?
Cool. All right. So, who wants to tell me then when is it good to bundle and when is it not good to bundle products together? What were your thoughts? Based on your knowledge, extensive knowledge of elasticity. Oh, nobody's sticking their neck on the block for this one, are they?
Like we thought. Yeah, no, crack on.
We've got kind of like at Christmas time and all that and everything. Obviously, you're going to put your bundles in at Christmas time because that's when everybody will buy it. But then you don't want to then drop your prices too much after Christmas because well, then they'll sell them up.
Okay. What does that mean in terms of elasticity, though?
I don't know. It just sounded good.
That sounded good. Okay.
I have no idea.
Anybody else want to dive in?
Avril, you're the brainy box.
There's more demand at Christmas.
So there's issues around demand here, yeah? If you think about it in terms of price and demand, if you've got an elastic level of demand, prices might need to fall. If you've got an inelastic level of demand, then you've got the potential to raise prices and your revenues. Okay? So the consideration of whether or not to bundle products together is based around the different pricing policies of your products. Is the elasticity of that games console the same as the elasticity of that game that you are bundling it with? Because if not, if you can raise the price of one of those products, why are you tying the prices together? Why are you tying the products together?
Okay. They do raise the price though. They do raise the price.
Sometimes they do.
Yeah, depending on which game it is.
But it depends on the elasticity of that game.
The consoles and the games are complementary, so...
Yeah. To a certain extent, they're complementary.
Just wondering as well, if it was a game that had more longevity with a multiplayer game, that could be very different to a game that doesn't have that. So it depends on maybe the game itself.
Yeah, very much so. So you've got, again, a lot of factors to consider here, okay? If you've got a game that is incredibly high in demand, massively high in demand, then yeah, bundling that with your console might increase your console sales. If you have your console bundled with a game that is not in demand, that doesn't have a great responsiveness, then you're not going to make a huge amount of sales. So the elasticity of bundled goods, of goods that complement each other, that are going to be sold together, is important. Definitely important. Do you want to do another exercise? You all look broken right now, man. This is not good. So, why are income elasticities for basic foods relatively low? Demand for them is relatively stable. Did I hear you?
I was just sort of speaking. I just meant it doesn't really change the demand for it. I would say basic foods.
Mm-hmm.
People still need it, so it doesn't matter whether.
Yeah, it's a staple. People are going to need it whether they have money or not. Yeah. There was a Prussian statistician called Engel that created Engel's law. And basically, that was all around the fact that these demands would be income inelastic. They are not going to be responsive to price changes because they are the basics that everybody needs. The absolute basics. So, as incomes rise, we tend to buy more food. We'll tend to buy better quality food. Different selections, but you can only eat so much. So the demand for food isn't particularly sensitive to income changes. So that means we've got a low level of income elasticity. We're talking about the level of income that we have doesn't change what we purchase. I asked you right back at the start of today, if you got paid more, would you go out and buy more milk? Probably not. There's only so much milk you can drink. It's not a massively high demanded product because it is a staple. So, how can elasticity of demand Help explain a low-cost airline's business model.
Yeah, just wondering, could it be because people have to travel to work, and maybe they have to travel a long distance, possibly, and that's why it's the low price?
So how does that relate in terms of demand?
Because demand might be fairly high, and
Yeah.
that means it has to be. I'm not entirely sure.
You're part way there.
There's a limited amount of spaces and a lot of demand.
Limited amount of spaces, a lot of demand. Part way there. Thomas?
I was going to talk about like competition stuff and how there's many airlines.
Yeah.
So low cost goods.
A lot of competition.
It's just a really elastic good, so the lower the cost, the higher the demand is.
Very elastic product. It's going to be very responsive for the reasons that you're saying. There's a high level of demand. So a low-cost airline, if it can cut its fares, then it's going to sell more seats. And therefore it's going to increase its revenue by mass. So it's going to sell more product. Okay?
Can something like what's happened with Thomas Cook this week turn that on its head though? Because suddenly like Virgin and BA and whatnot have seats that everybody wants. So it doesn't matter what the price because everyone needs a seat. Or is that not really the case?
They increased their prices, though, didn't they? There was something about how the other airlines, which used to be low budget, have hiked up their prices because their seats are reducing. People are buying the cheaper seats, and now the remaining seats which were there are now extortionate. And they're like 500 more than what they were beforehand. So the demand.
So, in terms of pure economic theory, right? Our low-cost airline drives its prices down for that product so that it's more accessible because there's high levels of demand. In real life, where you've got high levels of demand and there's a responsiveness to the level of demand, you are going to increase your prices. So what you're talking about there is that a provider's gone under. That has now made the remaining seats, the remaining holidays, inelastic. People want them, but they can't get them. So there's been a change in the level overall of demand, or change in the level of supply overall in the market. So if you remember your supply and demand curve, supply has now shifted to the left because there's a reduction in supply. Reduction in supply means a shortage, means a rise in price. So it's all linked together. Economics is interesting because it is this control panel in front of the world that has all of these switches and levers and dials and bits and pieces on it. Loads of flashing lights and stuff. And every single little thing that you do within economics has a knock-on effect to something else. So Thomas Cook go under, and all of a sudden you've got the basics of supply and demand at play there. Supply curve shifted to the left. That's led to an increase in prices because there's a higher level of demand. Our low-cost airlines keep trying to cut those fares because they know that people don't want to pay the higher price. And they will get a mass amount of revenue if they can cut the price, cut the cost of those fares, and get people to where they want to go. So that's taken us from week 1 with scarcity to week 2 supply and demand to week 3 elasticity. Just with one company going under. I love that. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Love that stuff. But do you see how elasticity of demand explains that business model? And I love that we've just taken that all the way from week 1 to, I'm going to use that forevermore in this class. Brilliant. Thank you for that example. I like that. So yeah, it takes it across the whole gamut. But our low-cost airline wants to push costs down. It knows that people don't want to pay and knows that there is going to be a very elastic response to that change in price for a product which is immensely expensive. Immensely expensive. Their airlines can also offer different prices. If you think about trains as well, they offer different prices at different times because there is a different level of elasticity around their tickets. Even buses do it. Everybody's got peak and off-peak ticket prices. That's all about the elasticity of that product. Yeah? You've got to get to work. Doesn't matter how much you pay. Look at the railway lines down south, where they've got millions of people commuting into London every day. They can put their prices up by 15, 20% more than inflation every year. Everybody complains, everybody grumbles, and everybody still buys the ticket. How else are you going to commute? Right, let's do another exercise. Actually, yeah, let's do another quick exercise. So, we've got a paper merchant here who sells standard A4 paper to a wide variety of people. In 2015, incomes rose by 2%, and as a result, because everybody needs paper, apparently, demand for paper rose from 2 million reams to 2,030,000 reams per year. So calculate the income elasticity of demand for paper and tell me whether or not that demand level is income elastic or income inelastic. Right, folks. Quick calculation for you then. So, are we income elastic or income inelastic? Is that level of demand income elastic or income inelastic? What did we calculate? Elastic? Inelastic. Yeah? You got elastic. Okay. This is cool. Any changes from that? Anybody want to? Nobody got unit elasticity? No? Damn it. So, our income inelasticity or income elasticity equation then, percentage change in the quantity demanded, percentage change in our income. So we know that incomes have changed by 2%. We need to work out the percentage change between the level of demand, and that calculates at 1.5. So we end up with 0.75 inelastic demand.
You're not supposed to times it by 100. I don't know what the thing says.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm going to have to double check that calculation for you then.
Yeah.
I will do. Okay, I'll double check that calculation for you. So it might be elastic, it might be inelastic at the moment, until such time as I've checked. Right. Who buys fireworks? Who buys fireworks for November the 5th? If you do, you scare my dog and you're a terrible person. Just saying. No, I'm kidding. So, how does elasticity explain the concept of why fireworks will cost twice as much on November 5th than they do on November 26th? Why do products change their price in the run-up to Christmas? How does the concept of elasticity explain this?
Because demand increases a lot at these times.
It's a seasonal demand.
Demand increases?
Yeah, but it's seasonal.
Seasonal goods, demand increases. Yeah, absolutely. So these products become more responsive to a change in price. We are then able to alter our price. Or sorry, they become less responsive to a change in price around seasonal periods. We can push our price way up and people are going to continue to purchase them. Is price competition more likely when demand is price elastic or inelastic? Are we more likely to see price competition when we've got elastic or inelastic prices?
Is that under elastic as well? Bigger reaction to a price change.
When they're elastic, because they're going to have a bigger responsive to a price change? Possibly. Anybody got any other thoughts? Inelastic. Why inelastic?
I'm just throwing it out there.
Just throwing it out there. I like that.
There's prices have changed too much on that product, so there's like more competition within that small.
Within that niche?
Yeah.
Okay. Almost, but not quite. You're halfway there with both of those answers, basically. Okay? Combine those two answers and you get a slightly clearer picture. Okay? So, when demand is elastic, our consumers are more responsive to a price change. Therefore, price competition becomes more likely. If you reduce your price, you are going to gain more demand for your product. If your competitor is keeping their price at a set level and you reduce your price, you are then entering into a higher level of price competition. Okay? So that's when price competition is more likely to be occurring, is when it's elastic. But you mentioned niche markets. Niche market is generally something that's got inelastic demand. So it's the flip side of the coin. It's where you are looking at avoiding price competition, or where somebody has a monopoly and there is no price competition. Yeah? That's a good combination of answers all round to answer the question fully. I like it. So as far as I can tell, you are all utterly ruined right now. All right? Price elasticity is not an easy concept to get your head around. So what I would like you to do with exercise 3 is I would like you to do this in your own time. All right? And what I would like you to do is I want you to send your solution to me. Send your thoughts on this to me via email. Okay? Well in advance of next week. All right? I am not looking at this the night before to give you feedback on it. All right? Because I am going to have to take the time to read every single one of your little submissions. And I'm not expecting an essay on this. I'm not expecting a dramatic amount of information on it. A paragraph or two is absolutely fine. Okay? I will post up this exercise. I'm currently writing that on my hand to remind myself. So, exercise 3 by next week, and I'll give you a little bit of feedback on it when you send it through and tell you whether you're on the right track or whether you got it wrong. Okay? Spend a bit more time reading around price elasticity. Okay? Make sure you have had a look at the audio lecture. Make sure you are good to go with that.
No, I just want to see my offer is still on the table.
Hang on 2 seconds. So please make sure that you've had a good look through the materials. All right? If there are exercises there and you need to duplicate exercises to give yourself more practice, double the numbers, treble the numbers. Just keep practicing the calculations until they stick. You said your offer is still on the table, Nahul?
Yeah, lecturer of the year.
Oh, you're going to put me forward for lecturer of the year if I give you the answers?
Or not the answers, if you just make like things a bit more like, what am I saying? Obvious.
A bit more obvious as to what is going to be in the exam.
Like many people will vote for you.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I'm not open to bribery. I'm a man that has no price. So, anybody got any questions about elasticity? Nahul here in Inverness doesn't, because he's literally standing by the door ready to sprint. It's been that positive a tutorial. Has any of this made it any clearer for you? There's like, yeah, sort of, maybe. Price elasticity is not an easy concept to wrap your head around, okay? It is confusing. But try and make some sense of it in real terms with products that you see every day. Products that you use every day. Products that you want to buy every day. Okay? And that'll let you contextualize price elasticity, income elasticity, and supply elasticity. Alright? Next week, we are starting to look at macroeconomics. Okay? You have a lot of reading to do for these sections, Because essentially we are trying to pile in microeconomics, macroeconomics, and economics in terms of consumer behaviour into one module, which is not good. Okay? There are a lot of materials to go through for next week. It's going to be a hectic couple of weeks going through the macro stuff. Okay? Make sure you are looking at the materials and taking the time to go through them. Alright? If anybody's got any problems keeping up, give me a shout. I'm more than happy to have a chat with you. More than happy to spend some time going through stuff with you. Okay? Right. Thank you for your efforts this week. I know how challenging a week it is. I shall see you all again, happy and fully caffeined up next week. Catch you later. Have a good day, folks. Enjoy your weekends. Don't go out drinking. Study hard.
Mark.
I just checked it.
Speak to you soon. Yeah.
Mark, are you posting that exercise 3 on just now so I can print it off?
Not right this instant, but once I get back to the workroom, yeah, I'll get that posted up for you.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
This call has been disconnected. Thank you for joining.